How's it going, everyone? John here, the host of Spear Talk. Here to tell you to check out the SpearTalkPodcastStore.com. That is SpearTalkPodcast.com to check out all the Spear Talk merchandise. We have coffee mugs, we have t-shirts, we have hoodies, we have sweatpants, we have guitar picks, we have stickers, we have pins. We have it all. You name it, we got it. You can also join the Spear Talk Book Club, which sold out in 2024, and we are close to selling out 2025. So be sure to check out SpearTalkPodcast.com for all your Spear Talk podcast merchandise. Thank you all. How's it going, everyone? John here, the host of Spear Talk, and we get to welcome the mighty Donald Gibb, actor, to the show. And one of the five guests I made a roster of when I first started the height of the pandemic to have on my podcast. Just for the sheer fact with your history in Revenge of the Nerds as Ogre and as the mighty Ray Jackson in Bloodsport. And you've always been one of my top guests to finally get on the podcast. And to have you here today is actually pretty awesome.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, listen, I'm honored, man. I mean, people call me from all over wanting to do these, and I'm honored that I'm that famous that they want to do them, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's like it seems like you've been super busy too on the convention circuit and just kind of getting out there to your fans, which is awesome.
That's what I like about it. It's just these conventions are a little different now, but I really do like going out there and meeting the fans, and it's helped me in a lot of ways. Of course, when you're not working a lot, it's great to have fans that come up there and make you feel good. That's part of it,
Right.
But it's just I gather things like we're writing another Revenge of the Nerds movie. But this time, I wrote it as a road trip movie with me and Curtis going on a road trip, and he needs a kidney, and we see everybody. And so a lot of the stuff that these fans talk to me about, I incorporated in the movie,
It's, we should start with Ogre, just because the sheer fact that it's such an iconic character, and then you come back for part 2 and then part 4. But I read that there was a part between 1 and 2 where they wanted your character to act a certain way, and you put your foot down. I guess the question is that rumor true? Where you they wanted you to kind of physically do something?
You know what it is? Actually, it was the first one. They wanted me to play the football player like a dumb football player. You know what I mean? The regular, I'm gonna kill these guys, And I wouldn't do it. I told them, I'm not doing that, and I'm not, I frizzed my hair up. I wore the things that I wanted. And then after a while, when they realized that, how good the character was coming off, Jeff Canoe, the director, said, keep doing it, man. That's because, it's like Bloodsport. They, same thing. And I told him, listen, I'm not doing that. And I always get on the set and I always try to make the character, you got to make the character kind of you or it looks like you're acting. I don't care what you're doing,
Right.
And with Ogre, I wanted to make him confused. I wanted to make him like, the guy said they hate nerds. He hates nerds. You don't know, right?
Right.
Whatever they say. But then when I got to know him, I liked him, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, they ain't bad guys,
Right.
I don't want to kill him. So it worked,
It's kind of cool how you took ownership of that character, because I think so many, at least movies back when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, where it's like you had these great characters that maybe they're one note, they're kind of one off, but you made it your own. And I think that's, again, to your point, you made it believable, like this brutish guy that actually has a heart. And it's like, it did it in such a cool way.
The audience has got to feel that, bro. I figured that out. The audience has got to feel that from me. And I always tell people, like when I do the conventions, no fan comes out to me and says, God, I love when you threw those nerds out the window. Oh man, I love it. No, never. It's all nice things. I love when you said CAT really spells dog and all the cute stuff, but they never want to talk about the stuff where I threw the guy out the window or I was pounding on the robot, So I realized that with every character, like even Jackson, I gave him heart, and
Right.
They love to see that. Your fans, and I've been very fortunate because I just started a movie called Hands. It's coming out in March. It's called Hands. I told the girl that stars in it, I said, you're a really, really good actress, but I don't think you'll be really great until you make the lines your own. You can't just read them. Like she had a really hard time with me because she kept on going, oh, here he goes ad-libbing again. And I told her, I go, if you don't make that character yours, what she needed to do was she needed to feed off that last word. Like if I'm supposed to say, I'm coming over there, that she knew that's when she started her lines,
Right.
And I told her, I said, Ashley, you are a phenomenal actress. Just make it your own, honey. Just make it your own a little bit, make it you. And I tell you, you're gonna be a star. But actors don't understand that. If you just read it off the page, they didn't write it for you. You know what I mean? The writer did not write it for you. He wrote it for somebody. So when you take the role, you got to take ownership of it,
Right. It's Did you feel like it's such an ensemble cast of Revenge of the Nerds? Was there any ever ego, or did everyone kind
Yeah,
of try to find their place? Like, how'd you make it? I mean, again, because the movie still comes off as very believable, and everyone
uh,
seems like they're having a great time,
we
but
got along
it's
great.
awesome.
We're still friends after 40 years. We do these conventions and we love getting together and we love hanging out. There was a little bit of tension between the jocks and me because I was not supposed to be a star of this film. You know what I mean? I was supposed to
Right.
be some stuntman they hired. And I always tell people the story. I'm writing a book and I've got all these stories in there. I got down to Tucson, Arizona, and they gave me the script, and I was looking through the script, my lines and stuff, and I'm going, what happened to my lines? Everything is Ogre just stands there. Ogre just grunts. And I'm like, what the heck did they do? See, they thought I was a stuntman, so they all take his lines out. And I was like, I didn't understand it. And then once I started doing it, I just started putting shit back in and ad libbing. And the guy Ted McGinley's a great guy, but I think they had a little problem with me, like, who is this guy?
Right.
And
Well,
I think I
not only, I mean, physically you look intimidating, but the fact that you can actually hold your own when it comes to acting as well, I think there's a testament to you, though.
I was very fortunate. And then we were looking at my resume, my manager and I the other day, and she goes, you've done like 400 things, man. I'm like, what? I just cannot believe how many things I've done since 1979. It's a shocker,
Well, I was watching Conan the Barbarian the other day, and I paused the screen. I'm like, oh, man, I had no idea that was Donald Gibb.
Yeah.
I just love like so. How does that? Obviously, you have to get your foot in the industry, but roles like that, do they just come across your desk? They need some
Yeah,
big brooding guy.
yeah. I mean, most of my life, I never got really lucky where they just called me and hired me. A few things they did. But most of the time, I had to read for it. I had casting directors ask me if I was in the Screen Actors Guild, and I went, "What? Okay." And one casting director looked at me, and I said, "Well, the actor in the hallway was telling me." She goes, "Well, since when do you talk to actors in the hallway?" I'm like, "What?" You know, I always had to fight for everything, but when I got it, they wanted me. They didn't want me on Cheers to play the biker, and then they fired the other guy, and they brought me in, and I did it. Harry Anderson on Night Court, I played this guy that beat him up in high school, and he talked about me on Johnny Carson. That's how wonderful that man was. Harry, he goes, I got
Yeah.
to tell you about this guy in the scene. And Johnny Carson went, oh, he's a great actor. He's a biker. And I thought, what a nice man to do that. Like who
Right.
does that?
Yeah, it's like, well, again, people, if you're believable, I think it resonates with people, whether it's the fans or the actual people you're in the scene with. And again,
Yes.
it's so Bloodsport is my favorite movie of that type of genre. I
Yeah.
know you dabbled in that type of martial arts film, and Savant's another one you did.
Yes.
But with Bloodsport, just the sheer audacity at the time when I saw that, I was just blown away. It's like, what was your relationship with Van Damme in the part at
We
the
didn't get
time?
along so good.
Interesting. It seemed like you did though, which is like that's why I asked. I'm like in the film, you seemed
Yes.
like the big brother or loyal, like the loyal dog, best friend that just shows up if you need me.
That's what I tried to make it. And I tell people that's the best acting job I ever did in my life because I couldn't take the dude. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what his problem was. I really don't. I mean, it was like almost bizarre behavior. Like a lot of things that he did, and I was like, he hit two people in the rehearsals. Nobody else hit people. He hit two people, hurt them, and I was like, what are you doing? But despite himself, we had one of the highest grossing martial arts films of all time.
Yeah, it's and some of your memorable lines, some of your again the video game scene,
Yes,
the reaction to like when he's punching the brick, the Dimok, but like the Kung Lee fight, like how much goes into like the choreography of something between you two, where there could be a language barrier or like a clashing of styles.
he doesn't. You're talking about the fight that I had with Chong Li.
Yeah,
He doesn't speak much English. But you talk about a guy that gives you stuff like that scene where, I'm coming around the corner after I knock, I take that guy and I put blood and I come around the corner and he's up there. He was the only one up there. He didn't have to be up there. All of a sudden I came around the corner and I see him staring at me and I went, I'm going to kill you, man. And I thought, what a wonderful
yeah,
person to make it for me, right? Tom Selleck told me that a long time ago when I first worked on Magnum. He said to me, always give your lines off camera. Don't ever do that to an actor. And he always goes, give the best you can because it'll make you look better too. And I always remember that. And I always thought, I'll always give as much as I can for the other guy,
right.
because on First and 10, we did 6 years and there was always guest stars coming on. And I used to tell him, I go, whatever you guys want to do with me, man, don't be intimidated. If you want to tell me something. I might want to do it.
Right.
And I I got an Ace Award for one of those because this biker beat up this little kid, and it was a greatest episode I ever done in my life.
It's awesome.
I got to
It's
kick his ass at the end. That was wonderful.
with to kind of go back, like the filming locations for Bloodsport, the infamous Wall City. It got knocked
Yeah.
down 93, 94, I believe. Incredible, just history, insane stuff that happened there. But you guys actually got to film there. What was that like?
Well, I heard that like the first time anybody's ever filmed in there.
Right.
So I don't know how they got in. I don't know how they got in there, but it was like spooky in there. I mean, you're walking down, and I remember the thing I most remember about the place is that they're walking us through. They have guards walking us through into this little. The Kumite wasn't in there. The Kumite was in the warehouse.
Got it.
But it had like a church. So I remember looking over and seeing this gigantic thing running down the other hallway, and I looked over at the little guy, the Hong Kong guy, and I went, Gary, I said, Gary, I go, well, God, that's like the biggest cat I've ever seen. He goes, no, cat, rat. I go, that was a rat. Oh my God. I said, we should probably get out of here. I don't think we should stay here very long. I don't want that rat to take me away and eat me first,
God.
It was scary down there. Dripping, water was dripping, and it was, dirt floors. It was like, oh my God. Oh, yeah, that was a scary deal.
And what was like craft service? Because that movie had people like Paulo, who played Paco, a legendary kickboxer, and people like that, like actual martial artists. I mean, this seemed like there a lot of testosterone during the filming of this.
But a lot of great guys. Other than Jean-Claude, everybody got along.
Yeah.
Everybody tried to help each other, and everybody, worked things out, and it was wonderful. I mean, Chong Li, Bolo is one of the nicest guys in the world, and those other fighters. I got Paulo Tasha's SAG card.
That's awesome.
Great guy. I love Paulo.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy. Jean-Claude broke his nose. Yeah. Snapped his nose in rehearsal. Jean-Claude's lucky he didn't kill him.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Like, I've heard that so much about the guy. Like, hopefully, I think people are young and dumb. It's like obviously the good people figured out at a young age. Hey, be a good person.
I think I understand that he finally sort of woke up and realized that, I got to be nicer to people,
Right.
It's not hard.
Right.
I watched Robert Duvall. I tell people, I watched Robert Duvall on one set, and then I didn't watch his acting. I mean, it's brilliant. He's brilliant. I didn't watch it. I watched how he treated the people on the set.
Yeah.
I watched how he talked to the camera people. I watched how he talked to the, supposedly grip crew, who were nobody. And he went and shook their hands and said, hi, how you doing this morning? And they were all, how you doing, Robert? And I thought, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you get a set happy, make them work for you and do things,
Right.
I remember when I did that scene, What If CET Really Spelled Dog, and we're laying down. The camera guy was such a nice guy, and he liked me. He took a flashlight, and he hit my eyes with a flashlight, and that's how he got my eyes to pop. And I was like, thank you, man. I mean, but it doesn't take a whole lot to be nice to people,
Right.
And I love when people clap when you're leaving. They always do this. Don Gibb's last scene, he's wrapped for the movie, and the whole, they'll clap for me. And I'm like, that's the nicest thing in the world,
Yeah.
These people are clapping for me. Like, what? It's just so warming,
Well, it's like you get it though too, because it's like when people with the California fires were happening, it's still happening.
I know.
I think a lot politically, people were like, "Oh, screw the celebrities or billionaires." Well, okay, maybe for a fraction, the people, the key grips, the craft services, the tailors, the video kit, the key grip, all that stuff, they lost their homes too. It's like, again, it's
horrible.
just there's so much that goes into each a film or a TV show that I like the fact that you appreciate all the little things that all big people, little people do.
I figured that out in life. You know what I mean? I've always been a really good person, but about a year ago, my wife of 20 some years just decided here in Detroit that she didn't want to be married anymore, and she told me we're done. So that was devastating. Damn. And then I started going to therapy, and all of a sudden I became so like I started seeing miracles left and right. Like oh my God, and I realized. All these things are tests and trials, and it's just as easy to be nice to people and to make them feel. I like to make people because they're so excited to meet me, right? And for me, that's wonderful. But I like to give them the thing like, hey, Don, he acted like I was his friend,
Right.
It's such an easy thing for me to do to make somebody's day, right?
Right.
And I think I try to do that every day of my life. I try to meet somebody or talk to somebody. And then I went through cancer. Like 2 months ago, I found out I had cancer of the mouth. And that was scary.
Yeah.
I cried for a while. And for some reason, I told God, I said, listen, if it's your will, because I don't know, if it's your will that I stay here, I want to do things for you. And I know you've been putting me through the trials with my wife and the loneliness and the divorce. I go, but this is life or death. So, if your will is for me to stay, don't make it so hard on me, okay? Please.
Right.
They got the cancer right away.
It's
Got it
awesome.
all.
Well,
No
congrats on that.
radiation, no radiation, no chemotherapy. Amazing, bro. Amazing. And I'm like, okay, Gordon, is that the last test, Lord, or have I got more to do? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
But I try to live my life now as close as I can to try to be that person, just nice to people and caring and
Of course. Is for you preparing for a TV show like Night Court or Renegade or one of those things versus a character in a movie? Is your preparation any different, or
it's
do you just
very
kind
different because the movie's 3 months. So what happens with me in doing a movie, I start becoming the character. I mean, with Ogre, there's a very, I got stories galore. That's why I wrote a book. Um,
I love
we had
it.
Jeff something. He was the Woody Allen's wardrobe guy. He already had Academy Awards, and he was the wardrobe guy on the show. And he goes, John, I've got to tell you, all of us sit there and we watch you. You put your head down, and when you lift your head up, we go, there's Ogre. There he is. That's all it took. Put my head down, put my head up, and they could tell I was Ogre. Now, some of the like Jackson was a little harder because I had to get into Jackson. You know what I mean? Because they're a little more complicated. But the movie's easier because when you do a TV show, it's 1 week. So
Right.
you jump in it. You hardly have time to really get to know the character that well, and you're done. You
Right.
know. So I try to prepare as best I can. I played a gay character on Arliss. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was fabulous for me. Anytime they've given me a challenge, I've always performed. You know what I mean? Even though they didn't want to hire me.
Well, when you look at like say the character of Ogre or First and Ted, Doctor Death, like with your college football background, they kind of put you back in that spot because you've already lived that life in a sense, right?
Yes. Is that most of the things are very easy because I told you I try to bring my characters, I try to bring me into my characters a little bit, but I try to bring things that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Things that I know and heard and so I try, but the best I can to, bring out those characters, bring out their flaws. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. So I like to bring out things, because listen, because my dad was a narcissist when I was growing up. Who knew about narcissists, right? So
Yeah.
I was a people pleaser. I kept making wrong decisions. 3 wives, 3 divorces, you know. So it's like everybody has their issues. Everybody has their childhoods. It's the people that make it happen,
Right.
and you turn it around. Even though I don't care if I'm 70, I turned it around, you know. And old dogs, new tricks, I guess. Eh?
Is there a like I wish Jackson Kate was more longer in the movie Bloodsport 2. I mean, I thought it was like in terms of like I thought Daniel did a great job with the lead, but I'm always curious where happened. What happened to Ray Jackson after Bloodsport and like with his
You know,
life?
these people bought the rights to Bloodsport. Oh my God. And they were like a brother and sister team. And the brother was supposed to direct a movie, but he was off with his kid at carnivals and shit in Thailand. And so I ended up directing the movie. They didn't give me credit for it, but I did. And the thing is that they wanted to play like his manager, right?
Right.
And they just didn't write it right. And oh God, it was tough because we were in Thailand and oh my goodness, trying to drive around the city. You couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
It was doomed. Especially with the director, the brother. I don't know what he was doing. Oh, where's Daniel or whatever? And they're like, oh, you take his kid to the carnival. I'm like, what? He's got to drive, man. What are you talking about? So they go, Don, you know more than anybody. Just go ahead. And I'm like, all right, do my best.
Right. It's I've was there a reason why like how come you weren't doing more martial arts type movies? Because
Buddy,
Savant and Bloodsport are so iconic.
I always tell people, well, I had this conversation with Jeff Canoe, right? He went on to do Gotcha and all these other movies. And I looked at him and I go, yeah, you're not making movies anymore, huh, Jeff? And I didn't want to be mean, but I go, you know why? You didn't hire me, brother. And you even told me that I was the star of your movie. So what is your problem? What is all these the people that I'm working for right now, I did a movie called Hands. They're the first people in my life when they called me after I got divorced, which is shocking. They called me and they said, you're the star of those 2 movies, Don. Nobody ever gave you credit for them. Just think about it, what those movies would have been like without you. And
Oh,
I thought, you're the first people in my life who have ever mentioned it. They always acted like I was nobody. And I used to think, what did I do wrong? Well, I didn't do the party scene. I didn't kiss everybody's butt because I'm not like that. I
right.
didn't get the publicist. You know what I mean? So it was like they seemed to like blackball me or something. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Right.
weird. Hollywood's mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they
it,
yeah,
it's
it's
vicious, bro.
a whole other story. And hopefully
Yeah,
you talk about that in your book.
I will.
When you got injured, I mean you played briefly for the San Diego Chargers.
Uh,
When you got injured, what was going through your mind where you're like, holy shit, I got to figure this out because physically maybe I'm not meant to play football.
I was a little worried, but I knew football was never going to be my career because I had double vision. I had a bad car accident, and I actually played college basketball in the University of San Diego with double vision. Sports Illustrated came out to see me shoot because they couldn't believe it. They thought it was a joke. So I showed them, we tested the double vision, and they were like, "Oh my God, how do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. But I knew football was never going to be anything. Of course, I never thought I was going to be an actor because, I remember in high school, the drama kids were in the lockers. Hey, drama kid, come here. You know, high school days. And I thought, I'm never going to be a drama. I'm never going to be an actor.
Right.
And it's like the Lord constantly said, you know what? You want to keep saying this stuff? I'm going to get you. Like my best friend, Mike, he had double vision. He had his floating eye, and I used to tease him. I go, where are you looking? And then what happens to me? I have an accident where my eye sticks in, and people go, where are you looking? And I'm thinking, I better shut my mouth, you know? Because every time I say something like that, it comes back to knock me in the face.
When in the movie Hancock, Will Smith movie, again you steal the scene. It's like every time I've seen that scene or a scene like that you're in where you have like the build top star, you always somehow. I mean, obviously you kind of talked about, but you always somehow not that you steal a scene, but you make it where it's like you make that lead actor that much better. You make them seem believable.
And he even said that to me. He goes, we've talked about you. He goes, I wanted you hired because I wanted to see your work. And he goes, because everybody talks about you and the fact that when you do a scene, you better keep up with Don or he's going to take you under the bus. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I remember doing First and 10 and the cinematographer said, if they don't want to keep up with you, the camera's going to you. He goes, if they can't keep up with you, I'm going right to you because, they're ridiculous it's not like I went out to steal scenes. That's not my deal. I
Right.
just wanted to do the best I could and, keep up with me. I'm not trying to shove you out of the way or, you know what I mean? That's not me.
It seemed like First and 10 was ahead of its time. I mean,
It
you look at
was.
the way football is today in sports and like the TV shows that are out there now in sports. It seems like First and 10 would right now would just, it's almost like the coming before of like a documentary of like a real team. Like it felt that good.
Even when I watch it again, it's like I'm surprised at how good they did with that thing. You know what I mean? It was
Yes.
very well shot. They were great casting directors. I mean, if you watch the people that were on First and 10, I mean, we got some superstars out of that show.
Right.
Maloney and the guy that's on Chicago PD and Jason McGay. I mean, it's a shocker. You're like, oh, that goes in it. That guy was in it. And I love that character. Dr. Death was a great character.
It's you have also been dabbling in beer a little bit too. Tell me about that and
Beer.
how you got into the beer industry.
Well, my buddy in Chicago, he's one of those entrepreneur thinking about everything. And one day he said, we should make Ogre beer. And I said, all right. I mean, I'm good. Put my name on it, and I'll take pictures and go around. And it was starting to get real popular. But then there was a guy. What happened was that's another cutthroat business. Let me tell you, that beer business.
Oh, I
Oh my
bet.
God, man, these people are mean. And Miller was going to buy it, but then they found out that it was not our own beer. It was another beer that we just put our name on. I didn't know that. So they just drummed us out. That's what they were. These people are nasty, man. I mean, they'll do anything to get you
Right.
done. Yeah.
So what's the process in putting your book together? Is it you writing your stories down, kind of talking to a tape and just writing idea? Like how's this
Yeah,
kind of get
because
put
it's
together?
like it's like the nerd film that I actually wrote. What I did was I finally decided to just write the ideas down, write the scene down, the things that I really think are important that are funny in the scene. So we sent it off to a guy named Hank, my buddy Kevin Weisberg, who's he's one of those producers in Hollywood that you never meet. He's nice. He takes care of you. He doesn't try to screw you. And I love the guy, man. And at 70 years old, I figured I'd rather make him money than Paramount. You know what I mean? So he found a writer to write it for me and my ideas. And this guy's calling me like every night with, this is what I wrote. Do you like it? And he's doing a great job.
That's awesome.
And it's
It's
going to be a hit. It's going to do well.
It seems like it's ripe for it too, because you look at the latest couple of trends where they're sequels, but they bring back like the legacy cast and people. It's like it's tough to pull it off. If it
It
seems like a
is.
lot of times you bring these actors back that just for a paycheck, which whatever, like make the money, right? But
Yeah,
at least care enough about the character because you're talking about people who followed Ogre for 30, 40 years now, and it's like
yeah. 40 years.
there's a sense of responsibility for this.
There certainly is, especially a movie like that. You don't want to ever make a movie like that and ruin the characters. After somebody works so hard to make them, and then the us, and then I'm so lucky because I've got these brilliant actors to work with. I've got Bobby and Curtis is going to be with me, and we're going to have Lamar, we're going to have
Oh,
Takashi, all of
awesome.
them are going to be it. I'm going to try to get Tommy Chani in there, a guy that he's going to be like a sheriff at our trailer park, and he hates marijuana. So I love this stuff, like everything that I could make different, I did.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have Billy Idol, or I'd like to have Ozzy Osbourne, in there.
It's when you talk, yeah, it's just so fascinating. Was Ogre the first name they came up with that character for the character?
He was already on paper, Ogre. I've never changed the character names. Like I wanted to kind of the character I played in Hands just recently. His name was Boz. I didn't like it at first, but then after a while, I thought, it's okay. And Ogre was on the paper. Ray Jackson, the names are fine. It's like when the directors always try to tell me, "Oh, those tennis, or those shoes don't look right." And I always tell them after a while, I went, "If they're looking at my shoes, dude, I'm no good."
Right.
Seriously, they ever know which kind of shoes I'm wearing? I'm no good.
Do you think Ray Jackson and Ogre would get along, or what would that reaction be together?
I think they get along great.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they're real, they're honest, they're truthful, they got integrity, and I think they would love it. They'd be great friends.
The integrity, I think maybe that's what it is. What makes those characters awesome because they're just they have honor. It's such
Yes,
it's
yes,
such a lacking characterization. A lot of those characters played the big brooding bad guy with Braun and whatever. It's like there's the way you portray that is I think the integrity of that character.
yeah. And that's a really big thing. And I think the audiences recognize that. It's like if you think about it, Ogre and Jackson really well, in my life, I've never done anything to anybody on purpose to hurt them. And I've always felt like that's why God has always been so on my shoulder, is that my heart was always pure. I never went out to hurt anybody. I mean, I did stupid stuff because I had PTSD. I didn't know it. So, I would do stuff that was pretty stupid. But, I never went out of my way when I said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get that guy," like my dad did, or I'm going to get revenge on that guy. No, never. I just got hurt. I mean, they used to
Right.
hurt me, but I would never do that. And I always felt like God kept my heart pure. And I tell people now when I meet them, I go, if you keep your heart pure and you don't try to hurt another person I go, you're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Don't let that get so angry with you that you start hurting other people.
Do you think Revenge of the Nerds can be made today? Like it seems
Yes.
like that type of comedy. There's not enough. I wish there were more people like yourself that had the balls to make that comedy because it talked about. I mean, I remember the first time I watched that. And I was born in '85, so even for
Yeah.
me, at that's such a young age. I'm like,
You were one when when
right.
we went out.
So I'm just like, if you watch that today, you're like, people would be like, "Whoa, but it's like everything in that movie, you put people, the nerds on a pedestal, the gay people, the
Yeah.
black, like everyone was the same thing, and it's like everyone got an equal shake, and it's like it was a cool way of like introducing people to like how people with different backgrounds
Yeah.
are all the same cool person.
You know how many times I've heard that me becoming a nerd was what made these people stand up for themselves, and they go, if Ogre can become a nerd and he's okay with it, we can. And I've
Yeah,
heard that on the conventions like a jillion times.
that's
And I'm like,
awesome.
the things that people say to me are so nice that you just can't believe it.
Right.
You're sitting there going, I got little girls coming up to me wanting to marry me. I mean, it's the cutest thing you've ever seen. Like little ones, I want to marry you. I'm like, oh, I want to marry and then I had a little one, she watched Bloodsport on the thing, and they showed a video of her doing my fighting while, while the TV's on. She's doing the karate stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
But I've been blessed, bro. I have been so blessed. I mean, I didn't think I was, divorces and all that, but I really have. I really
Yeah.
have.
And
And
did
I
you
get to talk
cut?
to people like you who are
Yeah.
interested in me.
Did
Go figure.
you? You're kind of you've mentioned faith a lot, and I love that. It's like was that journey part of the? Did you have like the relationship with the God you do now before like the divorce and cancer, or is this something where it's always you've always had it, but now you feel like I'm going to share this because it might help other people.
Buddy, I always had it, but I didn't think that I was really enough of a Christian man. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
because I used to get mad at myself and I did things with PTSD. And my dad, listen, man, my dad was so cruel. They would have already put him in prison today with the
Yeah.
things he did. So I grew up, not knowing like who I am. And so I think a lot of times I thought, I don't even really know who I am. You know what I mean? To tell people. So now I know who I am. And when I talk to them, you can tell that they, like, for instance, they used to come up to me and say, God, man, you're a legend. You're not just an actor. And I would say, oh, no, I'm not. And I know that they would think in their head, like, yeah, he knows. Why is he saying that? See what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're thinking, why is he being falsely humble? That's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realize that, now what I do, I go, thank you so much. That's such a kind thing. And I usually make them laugh by, they call you a legend when you get old. So, and they laugh. They go, no, that's not what.
Yep. Well, it is interesting how people get Academy Awards for obviously great roles and great
Right.
work, but the characters that last an impact with people are always like the secondary or characters people that are up for awards. I've always kind of liked again with some of your characters like that they stand the test of time more so than who won the Academy Award for Best Actor that year.
You don't remember. You don't
No.
remember. They don't stick out. I mean, it's so funny. Like this one, I did a radio thing with this one guy who was just such a fan. It was crazy. And he said, if I walked down the streets of Manhattan, I got, somebody's picture, a big famous actor, nobody would look. If I had your picture above me, everybody would look. Everybody would know that's Ogre,
Right.
And I thought, God, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's just being lucky, man. The camera likes me. Hey, some people, the camera don't like you. I mean, I don't know what that is.
Right.
But the camera loves me. I'm very fortunate, that it doesn't show my flaws. It doesn't show me nervous.
Yeah. It was also for Ogre, that was one of the first times you shaved your beard too, right?
Yes, I had. You heard that story?
Is that? Oh, yeah, I assume it would be because you probably you were playing a college kid, right? So, but you would have
Right.
looked
And
like
so
a
I went and I read for them 2 times. They didn't want me. They wanted somebody else. The caster didn't want me, like always, my whole career. So I got a call, and the director calls me and he goes, "You got to shave your beard. Get down here right now. Shave your beard. Get down here." I shaved my beard, and of course, when I
yeah,
when I went into the office, I was bleeding.
nicked
I
up.
had
Yeah.
tissue. And they're going, "Can you take the tissue off?" I go, "No. If I take it off, it's going to bleed like crazy." So I had tissue all over, but I looked young. I did. I looked young.
That's
So I got the
awesome.
part.
Awesome. Well, I know this has been awesome, and I know you've talked about your book and some upcoming projects, but if people want to check you out, I know you're on Instagram.
Yes.
But what other projects do you have coming up that you could kind of talk about?
My manager Tina did that for me. I've never had anybody do Instagram. I didn't even know how to use it.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I got the Nerds movie is going to go. It's like I told you, it's going to be a road trip movie. Curtis needs a kidney, so we all decide to go and run around and meet all the guys before either he's going to die or you know what I mean.
Yep.
So we meet Bobby, and he's in a casino in Vegas. We meet Julia. She's a madam at the Mustang Ranch, and that's how they get together. Takashi, he runs the Alamo concession thing, but he talks in Asian. So he plays Davy Crockett, but he does it in Asian accent. And we're like, why do you do that for? He goes, nobody else wants job. I mean, the things that have come to me on this thing,
That's awesome.
just they're awesome, bro. And I do a lot of the cons, and I think between me and Kevin, the producer, with I think we got a lot of ideas in the fire that we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. Well,
I'm lucky.
thank you for the time today, Donald,
Hey,
and
thank you, buddy.
keep doing what you do. It's awesome.
You're an awfully kind man, and I appreciate it.